It's me, Wario. Unfortunately, there were some recording issues while we're making this episode. We've tried our best to fix it, but some bits may still sound a bit off. We hope you enjoy the episode. Help, I'm having a stroke.
I said it was going to look like a chicken. What have you got it in your mouth?
Wait there.
Was it like really... What, you was trying to blow it out?
Yeah, like the surgical...
So like the hands just go... Zoop. Yeah, but that's...
Can you give me some...
Look at this.
I'll just put... Actually...
The penguin from Wallace and Gromit.
Oh my god, it's all on its own.
That's the evil penguin, isn't it?
Yeah. You know any good penguins?
Happy Feet one.
Shut up, Chris. I'm doing the intro. It's morphin' time. I'm the thing from... Wait, that's not fucking... I've got it wrong. That's Power Rangers, isn't it? What
are you trying to do?
What does the thing say from Fantastic?
Time.
Yeah, that one.
Oh no, we fucked it.
It's morphing.
Okay.
Which Power Ranger are we?
I'm Max from Power Rangers.
I'm the thing from Power Rangers.
I'm the clobbering from Power Rangers.
And I'm Chris, not from Power Rangers.
This episode, the bonus one, 77.5.4.7.
Yeah, we're reviewing Bones Season 2 finally.
It's
So
here.
long awaited.
Long
One and a
awaited
half
Bones
years
season
in the
2.
making. Just another 10 years and we'll get to Season 12. I can assure you, it doesn't really get much better than Season 2. 1, actually.
What?
It's
You
good.
watched the whole
No,
thing.
I like them. Like, they are good, but
It doesn't get better because it's already at its best.
it's just
it's
like
peaked.
they'll introduce like a story plot and it will last maybe 2 episodes, but it'll be spaced out within the season. So it'll be like the first episode halfway through and the ending. You're like, oh,
Oh, okay.
and then in between it's just like
Just watching this phantom glove.
the phantom hand.
How we doing?
I'm alright.
Fine, yeah.
I can flick the glove.
I wonder how loud that would be. Like,
Give it a flick. Have a go.
Wah.
Oh, dirty bitch.
ooh.
Disgusting. We're here to talk about some family-friendly things, like the new Marvels that they did.
Yeah.
Not Miss Marvels,
No,
but a Marvel
the
movie.
Mr. Marvels, about Mr. people who are in the Marvel ones.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler
SpongeBob
alert
shows up
for
in this
Moon
movie.
Knight and Doctor Strange 2 in the multiverse of Doctor Strange.
Nice.
Have you guys watched all of Moon Knight then?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have you?
yeah, I saw it. I saw it all.
Well, you sound really excited about it.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably
so
is.
what do we think?
Well, of Moon Knight,
Yeah,
I don't really have much to say about it in all fairness.
No.
No.
Nah.
it's one of the ones that they did for Disney Plus.
Uh-huh.
It's the new show. Everyone's hyped about Moon Knight, seeing Oscar Isaac play Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and also Moon Knight. I thought it was okay.
I'm going to be completely honest. Have you seen the video of Oscar Isaac singing the hippopotamus song?
No.
The
Jimmy
hippopotamus
Kimmel.
song.
Yeah. Have you
No.
not heard it?
What's the hippopotamus song?
It's about 1.5 minutes long. I found that more entertaining than all of Moon Knight. Moon Knight was good, but it's the same issue that every other Disney Plus show has. They get a bit boring sometimes, like very boring.
Yeah.
At least with like the ones we've had so far, it's established characters from the MCU, and they've introduced new characters within them. But this was just a new character, and I read all the comics leading up to it, but it was
Didn't live up to
Not a
it.
great
Yeah.
character.
it was one of the better Disney Plus shows, but they've not been fantastic so far. So
No.
is that really something that?
Yes, it's not a compliment.
When they
is it?
first came out, or when all this like these Marvel content things came out this year, because we hadn't had it for so long, I was really excited about them.
Mhm.
But like now that I've just seen Doctor Strange 2 again, I've realized like I haven't seen half the Phase 4 films, and all the shows have been okay-ish.
Yeah, it really feels like they're spreading themselves thin.
Yeah. Well, you think about how much Phase 4 content we've had,
Yeah.
4 or 5 Disney Plus shows, and then this year alone, we've had, what was in January? What show was it we had early on?
I don't fucking know.
You had like Hawkeye at the end of the
Hawkeye?
year.
Hawkeye
Okay,
was
yeah, so we
last
had
year.
Hawkeye in December, then it was Moon Knight came out shortly after, a
Yeah.
couple of months, about 2 months ago,
Yeah.
and then we've had Doctor Strange 2, we're getting what show's coming out in June?
Ms. Marvel.
Miss Marvel's in June.
Oh.
Then we've got 4 in July.
Miss Marple.
Then in November we've got Wakanda 2. It's like there's a lot going on, and I thought I'd be like really happy with all this Marvel content, but it's just at this point,
It's the same
It's just
shit.
a lot, and it's all the same,
Yeah.
yeah.
sort of.
Yeah, I was just watching it and I didn't know what was going on and I didn't care.
I'm gonna jump to a part in Doctor Strange 2, like the whole fucking when they get transported to like
We're going to
They-
spoil the shit out of fucking
Yeah.
Moon Knight and
You know
Doctor
when they
Strange, so just beware.
when they have the first fight with Wanda and like they teleport to that other universe where like they meet the Illuminati,
Yeah.
and it's that like really cliche of like they step on a memory pad and it shows America Chavez's backstory. I was like, it's such a boring way of showing someone's backstory, and even her character throughout the whole film, she's barely in it.
Just how they wrote
But,
it in, really, isn't it?
But it's like in the first 10 years in the Infinity Saga, we had like a trilogy of films for Captain America 4 and Iron Man, where they built character development, and you really got to see the characters grow. And then like not Scarlet Witch, like Black Widow, Hawkeye, Vision were all intertwined in them with like cameos and the Avengers movies. But it just seems like in Phase 4, you're just being given like, oh, here's a character. We're going to give you a very rushed and shit backstory. 6 episodes for Moon Knight, and we got the backstory in the last episode.
Yeah. I mean, I quite liked where they took the character. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
it was Oscar Isaac being like this guy, Mark, I think was his name, who was like a mercenary.
Mark Spector.
And he's just like been doing some horrible shit that he's kind of had to come to terms with. And he was like abused as a child. So he had to like create this alter ego for himself, which was Stephen, who's like this British guy doing a terrible London accent.
London.
I mean, that was...
Yeah, that was bad.
I mean,
yeah, but it's meant to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I gathered that from
but
that
at the
episode.
same time, it's like I was more into it in like the last couple of episodes.
Yeah,
but
me
it just
too.
takes a while to get there.
Yeah, that's
It
second.
is kind of like, oh, now it's about like grief and processing trauma. I quite like that.
Yeah.
But it just takes a while, and then they got to end it with like a fucking big CGI monster fight, like they always have to do for no reason.
I've not watched all of the shows, but I think all of the ones I've watched, my biggest problem I've had with them is they feel really stretched out for something that could have been told in like a couple hours. Like especially with Moon Knight, I feel like it would have probably worked really well if it was like a two-ish hour movie, whereas as a TV show, it just feels really boring a lot of the time because it's just filler. It
Yeah,
feels like.
the only one that was any good was the one where he finds out that he's making up his own delusions or whatever.
Yeah, that
personality.
episode
Yeah, I was
really
like, this is
great.
the only
That
good
was the
episode.
last one. That was the
No,
last
it's the
That was the
second
one
to last.
before
Where he's
it.
like in the hospital.
I actually missed the
Yeah.
last.
Oh, right.
bit
No, I thought you
of
meant
it.
when he finds out how he did it. That Stephen
Yeah.
finds out that he's the figment of Mark's imagination. His
That
own-
was in that episode.
That's the
wasn't
no,
it?
that's the second to that's the last one. The second
It
to
might
last,
have been.
the
I
second
don't
to
know.
last one ends when they're in the hospital and they see the hippo. That's when it ends, and then the next one's the
Actually,
last
yeah, I
one.
quite like that. I quite
That
liked all
hippo
that.
was absolutely hilarious
Because it was like subverting your expectation. It's like, oh, he's insane, and he like they've gone for like this insane angle
that's
where
kinda
like
what I
he's in a
thought.
hospital and needs to like process trauma. That was all really interesting, and I wish they'd have done a bit more with that in like the former half of the show.
Yeah,
'Cause that was all pretty. I quite liked that.
I missed the end, so I actually had to ask Chris how it ended, and he just went, I think this big monster gets killed, and I was like, okay.
The two big gods fight each
Yeah.
other. They
My
duke it
God,
out, and
I
they're huge.
forgot about that part.
Yeah.
Why do they need to like make Ethan Hawke just like fight them with his stick as well? He's like, it's the end. We've got to make Ethan Hawke, who's basically been kind of a more psychological threat than he was like a physical threat. Now he's got like a stick and he's going to shoot beams from his stick.
Why didn't they give him a suit? Why did everyone else get a suit when they became an Avatar, but Ethan Hawke didn't?
He wasn't cool enough, apparently.
He didn't want it.
He didn't want to dress up like
It
a
was a
mummy.
suit, it was just like a hippie
You
suit.
will not take away my suit.
Yeah.
In
I
the
mean-
comics, there's in the comics the suits from Moon Knight's character. You know, there's like the one with him with the suit without all the bandages around
Yeah.
him.
Mhm.
That and the other one are separate characters. They're not the form version of Mark and Thingy.
Yeah.
So there's 6 personalities in total.
Oh.
But in the show, they've just paired the suits with either one of them. The
Mhm.
other character with the suit and without any of the bandages on is like in the comics he's called Mr. Knight, and he's like, imagine like the MCU Batman. He's the equivalent of what that is.
Yeah, wasn't everyone saying that about the
Yeah,
show?
that's what a lot of people were describing Moon Knight as like originally. So I was like really thrown off when he's literally nothing like Batman in any way.
In the comics, he genuinely is, because that persona, Mr. Knight, of him, whenever he interacts with the police, that's the suit he puts on. So technically, they can't ever arrest him because it's a different person.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the comics,
That's
it's
cool.
a lot more accurate to that
Yeah, I don't know why
description.
they didn't.
That's all right.
Well, yeah, why didn't we
I
delve
thought
on
we were
that?
going to get like a kind of split type thing where like there's lots of different personalities, but it was only kind of 2.
Yeah, because it sounds like there
Until
is,
the
but they
end.
just didn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, there's Jake Langley or Longley, whatever the fuck his last
I was like,
name
okay,
is.
that's probably something in the comics.
Yeah,
like, that's all that was.
That is another one.
Yeah.
He's like, he's just a cab driver that's absolutely batshit insane. Would
Love that.
literally just do anything and everything. Doesn't matter who he kills. I genuinely cannot remember a lot of the season. I read when it was announced this year, in January this year, I read all the essential comics that I needed to understand who the character was. So what his backstory was, where he goes, how he interacts with the Avengers, what part he plays, and eventually it's going to get there,
but not
as
now.
it will. But it's just like the issue that Marvel was having now is the issue that always happens in the comics, and I think this is why the MCU is doomed to fail at some point, because in the comics, everything gets so batshit crazy that eventually they just end up rewriting the universe. In Justice League, they've like destroyed the universe with like Flashpoint and all that shit, like dozens of times, just because everything is just so convoluted. There's so many characters. It's like, he's dead, but now he's back. How is he back? And Marvel has done it as well. Like so many times, they've just thought like, right, we're like. That would be a spoiler for the end of it, so I can't be. But like, there's like, there's a point where like in the Marvel universe where every fucking universe is fighting to survive, and then there's just like, rewrite it, and it's just like back to the beginning again, and then they'll start a new comic run.
Right. So is this the idea that all these TV shows are then going to sort of integrate into the movies?
Yeah, they will.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I mean they just did it with Doctor Strange. Obviously, that's linked into WandaVision. That's like the only one we've had so far, really.
So, like, the next Marvel Avengers movie is either going to be one of two. It's the next Avengers movie is probably going to be new Young Avengers, and I think the Infinity War movie that we're going to get for Phase 4, 5, and 6 for the next 10 years is probably going to be Secret Wars, not Secret Invasion.
For the next 10 years. Just fucking hearing you say that, it's like, it's insane to me. I don't know.
It makes me sick.
But if they're going for like another 10-year, like they did with the Infinity Saga, if not, we'll either get New Avengers, Young Avengers to introduce all of the characters from the TV shows. So, what's her name? Kate Bishop from, what's it called? Hawkeye. Then you'll get Sam as the new Captain America, be that way. You'll get what's her face, Wanda's kids, they're in the Young Avengers, they'll be introduced. And then in Ant-Man's new film, the third one coming out in February next year, that will introduce his daughter as what's it called, whatever her name is.
I thought the Avengers was finished. I can't believe you're telling me. You're telling me it's going to go on for forever.
Yeah. They'll keep going on. But the reason
it's like The Simpsons. It's like fucking Simpsons.
The reason I say Secret Wars will be the next big sort of culmination of the 3 phases mixed together is because everything that they're doing so far leading up. So we've got all the multiverse shows, Loki, this.
Oh, right, yeah.
Ant-Man 3 with Kang from the Loki TV show. It's just going to end. And then Secret Invasion. So Secret Wars, the comic, has kind of 2 parts, where it's like Secret Invasion is the beginning half of the Skrulls imitating the heroes. And then eventually Secret Wars happens, where there's like an incursion of like all the universes, where they're just like, okay, everyone's just got a battle now, and your face. This is the issue that it's going to have.
It's giving me a migraine,
This is the
man.
issue that's going to have. The comic books go so batshit crazy that if they tried to do that with the movies, It's
Yeah, because it's going to get to the point where everyone's going to get sick of having to watch the last something to be up to date with the next something.
Yeah, that's
because
kind of
that's
what
one
I'm
thing I can't stand
now.
about the whole Marvel saga. It never used to be like that. I'll just
Yeah.
watch a
Well,
film and be done with it.
it kind of did, but never to this extent.
Okay, yeah,
it
but
was,
you know what I mean. Like,
it was
I didn't,
fine when I just had to watch a couple-hour movie. Now
Yeah.
they're making it so I have to watch like 10 like 6-hour TV shows as well.
I don't
It's just
appreciate
too
that.
much.
It's like I understand that like everyone that has watched since Iron Man 1 that has watched up until now, they've already been catered to because they've watched everything.
Yeah.
Anyone that now is new to the MCU
Oh, and has to catch up.
but not only that, where the fuck do you start? Like,
You're supposed
what
to
do
start
I
with
need-
Iron Man,
What do I?
apparently.
Yeah, but they're gonna be like, what do I need to watch?
There's like,
Okay, I'll watch all the movies. What shows do I need to watch?
Oh right, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
you got to
'cause-
watch 25 movies and about 10 shows. It's
Yeah,
like,
because there's
why
like
the fuck would I do that?
there's like a timeline like someone made of like what movies you need to watch, but not the TV shows. So you'd have to then like integrate what TV shows go in between.
On Disney Plus, they have it.
Oh, they have it in
There-
order.
yeah, so there's
okay.
you can watch it as phases, or you can watch it in the order where
meant to go
Captain
in.
Marvel's first, and then Captain America, then fucking.
I just
Jesus.
genuinely don't think they're going to get any more fans in.
I think
I
it'd be a
think they're
bit
done.
much. It's a bit much, isn't it?
Anybody who's like coming in fresh, going like, I'm here. I'm maybe I'll dive into these Avengers movies that everyone's going on about. Where do I start? Everyone's just standing there like, fucking, you missed the boat.
Yeah, because
mate.
it kind of
It's too
reminds me
late.
of
It's too late.
I went to watch Supernatural, the TV show, and there's like
15
50,000
seasons, yeah,
seasons,
there's
and they're
loads.
all like
That-
million
That
episodes
got
long.
cancelled like 3 times. It's been revived so
Yeah,
many times.
I gave up because I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. I think I watched
They've
like
actually
4
like
episodes.
finished it now for good, I think.
Wait, just wait.
Yeah.
It'll
I'm
come
waiting
back.
for
It
them-
will.
Soft reboot.
I'm waiting for them to fucking bring back Bones. Bones season 13.
When did Bones even finish?
That's season 12.
It was like less than 10 years ago.
Oh, maybe they could bring it back. A nice revival season of Bones.
You can watching those shows. You can tell that they're made in the early 2000s. You got like some really punk music, early Cage the Elephant playing. Like,
Nice.
fucking
I
hell.
think at least with Moon Knight, you can just watch that show and know nothing about anything. You just
Yeah.
go into it and it's like its own contained thing. Like that's
yeah,
fine.
it was
Yeah, I
nice
appreciate
to see
that at
something that
least.
was like completely contained.
Fair enough. I actually quite liked the first episode.
Yeah,
Just
I
like
liked
things
that.
were quite weird and interesting, and just like the first time Moon Knight actually shows up at the end of that episode, he's like beating the shit out of that jackal. I thought that was cool. Like beating the shit out of it in like the bathroom. That was cool.
I think Oscar Isaac is such an incredible actor because anytime he was on screen talking to himself as both personalities, it was really entertaining. I loved
Yeah,
it.
he's a
He was-
great actor.
he
He's
was
one of my favourites working today, and he's great in this show.
He was probably the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah, and I really bought the fact that there was 2 of them. It didn't seem like there was. Yeah, so in Multiverse of Madness, there's 2 Wanders at one point. They do interact with each other, and watching that, I was like,
Yeah, it doesn't
you
feel
can
right,
just
does
tell
it?
that this is 2 Elizabeth Olsens.
yeah.
Superimposed into the same shot with Oscar Isaac, probably because we got a whole series of him, and because of the way that the character is set up. Anytime they were talking to each other, I was like, "All right, yeah, I'm really buying
Yeah,
this."
they're like 2 completely different characters, so it like shows just how much of a range he has where he can play both of them.
versatility when he does it,
Yeah.
and he can also play the guitar. I showed the hippo song after.
Yeah.
I really want to hear the hippo
Yeah.
song.
Very good. It's very
Yeah, he's in
catchy.
that film Inside Llewyn Davis where he plays
Oh yeah, he
a
sings in
folk
that,
singer.
doesn't he?
I wish they had gone like more in with the fight choreography as well. It kind of devolves into like what you're used to. That's why I quite like the ending of the first episode where he was just like beating the shit out of the jackal, and it's like trying to run away. He's pulling it back and like beating the shit
It was
out of it
such
with
a
his fists. I thought they'd go more in with. That's why I like the show Daredevil a lot, because they use like fight choreography very well in that. He's like, his dad was a boxer, and he's like using boxing in with like more martial arts type stuff. And I thought they'd go a bit more into that with the choreography in Moon Knight, but it kind of doesn't do that. It kind of just, it's what you're used to afterwards.
Moon Knight's a really violent character in the comics, and other than like you said, the first episode where it's introduced, which I thought was such a when he was introduced, I was like, that's such a fucking cool way of introducing the character, like just to show how violent and vicious he is.
Fucking cameras panning around the mirrors.
Yeah, and
so
he's just
good.
kicking the shit out of this like demon that he just ran away from, and then like that's it. There's 2 parts in this series where one of them's the final as well, where he blacks out, and obviously it's the Jacob persona taken over, but you never see any of the violence.
That's really effective. I thought it was so effective that they did that.
Yeah,
honestly.
especially in the first episode where it's like their car chase, and he just
Just,
keeps
left wondering,
blacking out,
what the
and then
fuck is
suddenly
going
there's
on?
like dead bodies all around him. That was really cool, I thought.
I enjoyed it at that part, but like at the end, and I was like, this is the culmination of like the series, and we've missed the final fight.
Yeah.
It's just like we got a bit of it when in the beginning, but like the part where it really mattered is like
Fuck
we're
this.
probably never gonna see that now. Like,
No.
Some of the like stunt people were like, I kind of got to take a day off. It's like, all right, we'll just cut it. Allude to something awesome happening.
we've run out of budget. I just faded black.
But honestly, I don't think it needed to end in a big fight either. Or just like a big CGI fight with those big gods. Like Loki didn't end like that. With Loki, I quite like the ending of Loki where it's just like they meet a guy in a room and he gives them some exposition, and it turns out that he's like this really huge threat, and they kind of have to think their way around it.
Mate,
I quite like
the
that
end
a
of
bit more.
Loki and this film, it's just fries my mind. Because at the end of like Loki season 1, the guy's like, you can either kill me or take over. And he's like, if you kill me, it's just gonna reset, and I'll be back here in another like couple thousand millennia. And he does. They kills him in the comics. It just resets, and eventually that whole scenario will happen again. And you're like, fucking. So everything they've just done is pretty much meaningless.
It's so cool. It's just this confrontation between like John Majors and Tom Hiddleston, where they're just talking. And I like that a bit more. That's why I don't think every Marvel movie needs to end in a big CGI battle or like every show,
like,
you know.
The writers of Marvel films and all the directors and writers are very fucking good. Like a lot of I'd say all of phase the Infinity Saga, a lot of it is built up on character development.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what allured people to it. That's why they fell in love with these characters. But now we're just getting to the point where it's just like the same MCU formula. Okay, we got a really cool CGI opening, then we get a few fights in between, and then we end on like a really big fight. I was half expecting, watching this movie, Multiverse of Madness, that when Wanda realized what she was doing wrong and stopped it, I was like, okay, so we're probably going to get the creator of the Darkhold coming out of her body, and then they have to fight her, and then that didn't fight him, and that didn't happen. But I was half expecting another CGI fighting, like a bit of like Shang-Chi, where the end of that is just, oh yeah, we had this really
Shang-Chi
cool
could have been a really good ending where they just like hit the father and son duked out a bit, and then they have to like introduce like a big CGI dragon and like do all this shit with it.
Yeah, like
There's no
everything's
point.
a fight.
That was like when I saw Shang-Chi, I'm like, I'm not gonna see all these movies in the cinema anymore. That's just too much now.
That
It's
was
too
the point.
much.
That kind of just, I kind of was like,
I can't be bothered
to keep up with the MCU anymore. I'll just see what I want to see, and that's it.
Yeah, because I didn't see Eternals in the cinema.
Yeah, I've still not watched it.
And I watched it on Disney Plus, and Eternals was another one where it's just like they shoehorned in like 9 characters, and it was just it's almost like they did a Justice League where rather than like introduce the characters with separate films or whatever, or it did. They introduced 9 characters in one film. It tried to give every one of them a backstory, and then
You've only got
And
so much
other side
time,
characters
haven't
and
you?
then
as well,
another side,
Yeah.
and they try to make you like care about them. You're just like no, because you've spread yourself so thin in this film that's just boring.
Isn't the
Like-
film really long as well?
But yeah,
It's like 3 hours long.
Yeah, that's probably why
and
they
they're
had
like,
to.
here are all these characters. Also, they've been here the entire time. Also, you care about them now.
oh look, there's Jon Snow.
Yeah,
There's Jon
fuck
Snow's
off.
brother.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Angelina Jolie. You love these
Yeah,
actors.
fucking-
No,
Jesus. Okay. I think we'll cap off the Moon Knight discussion here. 'Cause I don't have
much to say
Yeah.
about it.
I don't know.
Fairness,
I quite-
Oscar Isaac did amazing. Was amazing in it. The actress that starred alongside him was fantastic in
She
it
was
as
really
well.
good.
Yeah, I liked her.
Ethan Hawke was fucking fantastic in the show.
Yeah,
Cool guy.
he's
I
also
wish
a
they'd
great
done
actor.
more with him.
Yeah, but I loved it when when it was like after he died, when Mark Spector got shot and it was all in his head when he was dying, and Ethan Hawke was like playing the Doctor version. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, that was really great.
That was cool.
I was like, just liked how like Max said, like he was such an psychological threat against them. He just knew how to get into people's heads, and like yeah, it's good.
But he didn't know how to block Moon Knight's moon Blade. That was his ultimate undoing, not Moon Knight like outsparsing him or like proving that he's like over his trauma or whatever. Could have been like a great allegory for like moving past childhood trauma. But
I'm interested to see where he comes up now, where he pops up next.
Yeah, we'll see. Couple more things on Moon Knight just to cap it off. I thought it was quite nice to see an interesting use of like cinematography and like how they use the camera within the show. A lot more like vibrance to the color palette with it. Always like seeing that. I think there was like, was it Justin Benson or like Aaron Moorhead who did the show as well, and they've done like a couple of pretty interesting movies. I think. I just want to see Marvel hire different directors that actually have a clearer vision. I think that's where the movies and the shows tend to excel. Yeah. Should we go on to ratings then? Yeah.
What of Moon Knight?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Out of 5?
Season 1. Out of 10, out of 5, whatever you want to do.
What do you usually do out of 5?
Usually do it out of 10.
Okay, that's Letterboxd that does it out of 5, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, we just double whatever, obviously.
That's how it works, Darcy.
Mhm. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah,
Everyone else
I didn't hate this show. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I really liked, I think, when it was actually like moving, but I felt like too much of it was just like exposition. Like it felt like I was watching like a cutscene to an Uncharted game, where it's just like all the characters talking about some old like Pharaoh shit. It was just really boring a lot of the time.
Old Pharaoh shit.
Yeah, I guess I give it like 6 out of 10.
Nice.
I wouldn't watch it again, I don't think.
Yeah, I'll probably give it the same 6 out of 10. Probably wouldn't watch it again. I appreciate kind of just like different things that they were going for with it, but ultimately, I mean, I kind of steamed through it, being honest. I did enjoy myself. It's very rocky throughout. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. Good acting. Quite faithful to the comics in some aspects, not in others, but it's just at this point, I found myself zoning out of the episodes more than I did concentrating on them,
same.
and it was
Sounds about right.
7 out of 10,
Cool.
maybe a
All right.
6.5, 6.5 out of 10.
Amazing.
Awesome. That's that. Next one.
Do you not get a vote?
I'm not rating it. I didn't see the end.
No.
Yeah.
What did you? How many episodes did you see?
She watched
Unfortunately, I
half
saw
of the
all
last
of them.
episode.
Yeah, but I missed the last half of the last episode.
You say you watched all of them. You weren't really
Okay,
paying
I was
attention. It
there,
was basically just on in the
and-
room.
I mean, I vaguely remember what was going on. Not enough to rate it though, so that's why I'm not rating
Yeah,
it.
that's fine.
Abstaining from this.
The movie was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness by director Sam Raimi.
Fantastic.
I love Sam Raimi.
I will say best directed MCU movie, hands down. It's the only one that you could watch and you'd be like, okay, that's directed by someone different, and I probably know who the director is.
Yeah, there were some parts where I was just laughing because I was like, "Oh, classic Sam Raimi."
Well, could you watch any other? If you had to watch,
I feel like I could get that from Thor Ragnarok. Maybe.
Oh yeah, with Taika Waititi, yeah. But if
I like him.
If you take away them two films and then you watched, someone just gave you like Winter Soldier,
Ant-Man.
Thor 2, Ant-Man, and then a couple of Avengers movies.
Don't ever
you
give
would
me
watch
Ant-Man.
them, and there's no distinct impact that the director has had on the movies,
You could be told the same director directed all of these
and you'd
movies.
believe it.
Yeah.
But you can watch Ragnarok and especially in the Multiverse of Madness,
Mhm.
and you could tell they're directed by someone different.
I even
And-
kind of thought that about the new Spider-Man one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John
Really?
Watts had enough of a flair in that, I think.
I don't
Yeah,
know. It
no.
just seemed like another it just seemed like it was another MCU movie.
I, don't know,
No,
I
that
thought that
felt
about the
more
first
fun.
two Spider-Man
I don't know.
movies, but like with the newer one, I was like, yeah, something's there actually.
Yeah, I'd
It felt
agree with
fun.
that.
He improved a lot.
I don't know. I
Is
don't
this,
know.
it is
You
strong
could
direction.
tell me that was directed by the Russo brothers, and I'd be like, yeah, I believe that.
That's fair.
That's fine.
It was
I
like-
don't even know who directed it.
What? He
The
just said
Spider-Man
John
film.
Watts.
John Watts.
Oh, so
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. I really feel like Mark Webb got shafted because what a name, Mark Webb, and you directed a failed Spider-Man movie, two of them.
Two of them.
Oh, was that the Andrew Garfield one?
Yeah.
Well, he might get his
Oh.
extra chance soon.
Yeah, maybe who
Yeah,
knows.
what they want to bring it back then?
Mark-
eh?
Yeah.
I hope they bring do a third one.
Mhm.
That'd be interesting. But I'll say with Multiverse of Madness, the one big issue that I had with it was using Wanda as the main villain, because it made no fucking sense
Yeah,
whatsoever.
I didn't understand it either.
It completely it basically, if you watched WandaVision, fantastic, you wasted your time watching it, because all the character development that she did, Elizabeth Olsen did throughout all of that show, and at the end of it, they tell her you have to deal with your trauma, and she does, and she finally accepts it.
And now she's like, no, never
all
mind,
of that is
actually.
undone. And in the movie, they say 3 times that the Darkhold corrupts not only the environment, but the person using it. At the end of WandaVision, you see her using it, and then at the beginning of this, in the Multiverse of Madness, she still has it. So you put together, she's been using it. But the issue that they have is they don't give you a clear timeline of how long it's been, so you don't know whether she's been corrupt by it, and they do not make it clear that she has been corrupt by it. So if you're watching it, which is what happened with me until I realised, I was like, why at the end of her show did she go from accepting it and wanting to do right, she became an anti-hero? Now all of that character development is gone, and she's just so hell-bent on not wanting her family back, wanting her kids. Why Vision isn't in this movie or referenced at all, other than once when she said had to kill him.
Yeah.
But like, why is she so hell-bent on getting her kids back, but she don't give a shit about Vision anymore?
Yeah, that was really weird.
And the issue that you have of Vision not being in this movie is at the moment you bring him into this, because he's still alive in the MCU, and he has all of Vision's memories now, so he knows. The issue that you have is if he's brought in, the movie didn't happen, because he'll probably just be able to talk her out of it. But my issue is, why did she not just go and find him? Why was he never in any of these universes whatsoever? It made no sense. It just really made no sense.
Yeah, if you watched WandaVision, you're disappointed with where they take the character. If you didn't watch WandaVision, you're wondering, what the fuck is happening?
Oh, that was me.
What is happening with this character?
That
Why
was
does she have
genuinely
kids?
what
I
I
listened
was
to a
doing.
review of the movie, and it was pointed out to me. It made it very clear. If you only watched Avengers Endgame and you never watched WandaVision, the last time you see Wanda, she stood at the lake with Hawkeye, and Hawkeye says, like, if only she, referring to, like, Black Widow, could see this, and she replies, well, like, they both do, which is her referencing Vision and Black
It's like
Widow.
an acceptance. Yeah.
It's like she accepts it. She's part of the Avengers still, and then in this movie, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That is basically what it was
Last
like.
time
Actually,
you see her in the movies or any proper MCU, so if you don't have a Disney Plus account, you've gone from that to this, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
No, but that's another one of those problems where you have to watch a million other things just to understand what's going on, and I don't think that should be the case.
Well,
It's just annoying.
Nothing like this has ever been done before. It's the only successful cinematic universe in it. If in any cinematic universe that there's going to be, there probably will be another one at some point. This same issue will happen where you have to watch movies after another. Any cinematic universe, it's going to happen. Think of the fucking what is it being called? Kongverse, the Godzillaverse, whatever that universe is.
The Kongverse?
I don't. What
It's
name
like
are they
calling it
giving
the Konga.
it? But if you watch Godzilla 1, 2, and then you're like, cool, I can watch another Godzilla movie. Who the fuck is this monkey?
Yeah.
Why is it, like, if you don't watch Kong Skull Island, it doesn't make sense. It was
Yeah, I
very
didn't
hard to
watch-
understand.
I didn't watch Kong Skull Island, but I watched all the others.
Yeah. So
That's a
any
shame. Kong
cinematic
Skull Island is a decent movie.
Yeah.
So any cinematic universe that's going to happen, it will run into the same issue that after 10 years, there's going to be so much that you're going to have to catch up on. So I can't fault the MCU for that. It's fucking annoying, but you can't fault them for that because it will happen with everyone. You can't have a cinematic universe without having all these films that you need to watch.
I'll just give up.
The issue is they don't make it like. Well, the issue is because of that, you run into issues like this, where if you only watch the movies and you don't have a Disney Plus account, your last interaction with this character, she's a good guy, and now
she's mental.
She's absolutely batshit crazy.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched WandaVision, you have no idea what the Darkhold is. It's never explained.
I had no idea what it was.
No.
I just went, oh, it's a
I
mad
forgot
bad
what it
power
was.
I've forgotten.
thing.
I didn't. Did they mention that in the show?
Yeah, it's at
Forgotten
So Agatha Harkness mentions it. She's using it, and then at the very end, you see Elizabeth Olsen's character using it to find her kids. And in the I just need to Google. I completely forgot.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, why they brought in this fucking MacGuffin thing, this fucking plot device that's like, there's a book they need to get, and like that's what's turning her evil or whatever. But also there's another book that Doctor Strange needs to get that will tell him how to stop the other book. And also there's this other character, fucking America Chavez, who's like just put in here. She's like can travel the multiverse, and that's her power. I didn't really like her as a character. I thought she was much more of a plot device than a character.
Yeah.
Well,
she does nothing. America Chavez.
Oh, mate. The thing is, I've been seeing so many people saying like she's obviously a very talented and amazing actor. I've never seen her in anything else. And watching this movie, I can't tell you whether I can't tell you whether she's a good actor. From what I saw, she was, but there's not much of her.
Yeah, I think she's good in the movie, but her character is pretty bland.
Yeah, so she just introduced, like, in this film. This is like...
Yeah.
Oh, so she just comes in, for the sake of plot, really, more than anything else.
So, let me explain to you what happens in the comics and how the comics did it so much better. But the issue of basing your films of comic book movies is that you can't do it because they're batshit crazy. In the comics, the creator of the Darkhold, same in this universe. What the fuck what's his name say? Kafon? I can't see.
Read
it's
it
like
out.
the Cthulhu. I think it is Kafon.
Kafon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be like
Kafon, yeah, I had to Google it because it was spelt so weird. The creator of the Darkhold's Kafon. That mountain that you saw in it is the temple that he made for the Scarlet Witch character. So in the comics, Scarlet Witch, the same issue happens in Avengers Disassembled, but her kids aren't real. But instead of her creating them, they are two pieces of his soul, and he takes them back, and then she forgets that her kids ever existed. At some point during Avengers Disassembled, she remembers that her kids existed, but she doesn't remember the fact that they're parts of Kafon's soul. So she goes absolutely batshit crazy and destroys everything trying to get back to them, which leads into House of M, which is what a lot of WandaVision was based off. House of M and Scarlet Witch and Vision. In the comics, it makes a lot more sense.
This is actually killing my brain cells. Like, what on? That's why they can't do it, because it's just it's too much.
In the comics, it makes more sense because
you have a lot of time to get into that.
It's not that. It's like she remembers her kids existing, but she just she doesn't know why. She believes that they're her kids. She gave birth to them, and all of a sudden they don't exist, and her mind just snaps. In this, she knows her kids aren't real. They're out there somewhere in the multiverse, but she knows they're not real in her multiverse. And my only other issue is, why did she have to go to a universe where there was another version of her? If there's infinite universes,
she could have gone to one where they were orphaned, but not yet. Yeah,
there's a part in the movie. She's like, "Why do you want to take America Chavez's powers when you can just get her to take you to a world where your kids exist?"
Right. Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, what if they get sick? With infinite universes and infinite realities, there's infinite cures." If there's infinite universes, there's obviously a universe. If there's an infinite universes, every possibility that could ever happen will happen. So there's a universe where her kids exist, but she's dead, so she can become their mum, where they have a cure for every disease.
Right.
So why just get him to teleport you to that universe?
No, because then you'd have no movie.
Yeah. If you've said in the sentence,
that was my primary problem when she was like, "I'm gonna get my kids," and then Doctor Strange is like, "Well, what about their mum? What's gonna happen? What are you gonna do to their mum that they have in that multiverse?" And then like he just attacks her, and I was like, "Well, that's gonna be brought up eventually. That's gonna be the climax, I think," and it is. And then she can't kill their mum, and I was like, I knew that was gonna happen. It was obviously gonna happen.
Yeah, but it's this film was like, it was advertised very differently. Like if you watch the trailer for this movie, it's like Scarlet Witch is probably an anti-hero in it. She's probably an issue that they have to get around. She plays part of a villain for maybe 2/3 of it, and then there's the main antagonist who's introduced. the trailers made it seem like that with how it was spliced together, and then the movie is just like the whole way through. But it's like the movie didn't need to exist. What did it do for the MCU? Oh, it introduced multiverses. We knew that already. We knew multiverses
Spider-Man did
existed
that, right?
with Spider-Man. And the annoyance is bringing up Spider-Man. The trailers made this movie seem like this movie was a continuation from Spider-Man,
Is it not?
and the decisions that he made in Spider-Man had a consequence that he now had to pay for. The Illuminati, where like there's cut dialogue from the trailers where Wong's character says like, "You've messed with the multiverse. You can't always be in control." Okay, in the trailers that made it seem like okay, he's paying the repercussions for what he did in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That was a big issue. He broke reality in that movie, and it's never brought up.
No.
Only in a diner where he says, "Yeah, there was an incident with Spider-Man. We have the experience with the multiverse." It would have been a much better story if the film was solely based on him having to deal with what he, because you could take the plot from Spider-Man about him messing with the multiverse and trying to control it, in terms of like he overestimated his powers, created this spell, completely fucked the multiverse, and thought he could contain it. You can go from that and still have the same character development this film had where he ended, where he learns that he's not always in control. You can take the Spider-Man plot, carry it over, but make him deal with the repercussions, and it would have made a lot more sense than him ending. The Illuminati in the film, when they're introduced, they're like, the biggest threat to the multiverse is you. But it's not Doctor Strange's fault that he traveled the multiverse. It's Scarlet Witch's. She created a portal. She obviously was having a fight with America Chavez, who created a portal that sent Doctor Strange to the world with her. It's not his fault he went there. Like, the movie, it just doesn't make sense. It just
honestly, when I was watching this movie, I was so annoyed. I was really annoyed, all the way through. I was like, I even like the movie. I quite like the movie. I think there's a lot of like creative things that they're doing here. I like Sam Raimi's direction. I like Benedict Cumberbatch. But we don't really talk about Doctor Strange when you talk about this movie. You talk about everything else that's happening, because there's a character in terms of like what he goes through and like the arcs he goes through. It's like, what is it? It's like, oh, you got to learn to like love people, Stephen, or some shit. It's like, okay,
you've got to learn to be not the one
he's
that
just
always
playing like
holds
this
the
cat and
knife.
mouse game with fucking Wanda the entire time. I'm like, I want a movie that's about this guy. I really like Doctor Strange as a character. I think you could do some interesting things with him, but he's just kind of shafted.
Wait a minute. So, like, I haven't seen the first Doctor Strange. Do they talk about him at any point in that?
No,
Like,
not really. I mean,
like
that's about like
Strange's
him
character.
learning to be a magician mostly.
Yeah, and kind
Oh,
of him.
is it an origin story then?
Yeah.
It's kind of like him, like coming to terms with the fact he's like a massive egomaniac, kind of.
And he like breaks his hands and like he's got to relearn everything.
Yeah, Doctor Strange 1 was good, and at the end of it, he realizes that he has to protect the universe,
Okay.
and he accepts that. But like, this isn't a sequel to Doctor Strange.
No,
this,
that's
not
well,
really.
this
yeah.
is a sequel to
Endgame, or maybe Spider-Man.
Well, this is a sequel to Endgame, WandaVision, and Spider-Man, but nothing. This is a sequel to them three movies
Without actually mentioning.
But because it's a sequel to them three movies, the way that so it's a sequel to them three movies, but what happens in this movie just completely destroys every one of those movies. All the character development for the characters that are in this.
I get what you mean.
It's just like, I liked the fact that like in this movie that Doctor Strange is, when he goes to Christine's wedding, he's sitting there and he's confronted by the other Doctor, and he says like, is that the only play that you could have made, or was that the only thing you could have done, when he gave the time stone to Thanos? Which is really weird when you think about it. Like, in the MCU, like, all the people of Earth know what happened on Titan,
what he did,
and know that he gave it away. I would have loved a movie where that was brought up and made more of a focus, where it's like he has to deal with the fact, like, did he make the right call, or did he make the call that was best for him? But it's just like, I liked that when that was brought up and he like questioned it. Like, was it the right thing to do? And it played into again with like Doctor Strange having to be like the one that's always in control. But then I just thought like that's exactly what Iron Man was, but Iron Man did it far more convincingly.
You could have had something about like his guilt or anything, but it kind of boiled down to like, are you happy, Stephen? They asked him that a lot. It's like, are you happy? And it's like, what the fuck does that mean? What are you talking about? Is he happy? Of course he's fucking not. He died for like 5 years. He's come back. And as a result of his actions, so many fucking people died. He's got to live with that, but it's like barely ever brought up.
Yeah.
I wanted something more with that.
Yeah.
There's so much that they do with other characters that's like exploring their traumas and like all the backstory that they have. But with this, it's just like, are you happy, Stephen? And he's like, oh, I don't know, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. What's the fucking point? Do something with it.
This is the same studio that gave you the character development that Iron Man and Captain America had, where one of them started as an egomaniac Iron Man who was only cared about himself and only did things that satisfied himself, and Captain America who did everything by the book for his country. After 10 years, both characters completely switched roles, where Captain America turned against the government and Iron Man was completely for it and made a sacrifice which was alluded to in the first Avengers movie that wouldn't happen. This is the studio that gave you that progression, and it made complete sense. And now we're getting movies like this, where it doesn't like a lot of this movie. The issue that this had, the director dropped out. The script was not finished when they were halfway through directing this movie. So Sam Raimi had no fucking clue where it was going to end up. Mm-hmm. Did you see, any of you, so this movie is meant to be 30 minutes longer than it originally was. Sam Raimi's original cut was 2 hours, 40 minutes long.
Bloody hell. Okay,
so you know at the very end where America Chavez punches the portal and she's like, "Bon, we've got to go."
Yeah.
And they go to Kamatage. And then when Christine and what's his name? Doctor Strange talking in their universe, and he's like, "Oh, they're coming to get us." And then America Chavez punches a hole in the universe to come get them. They're still there. They're not a Kamatage. They're at the mountain still. It's an inconsistency with the movie. Watching that, and I didn't notice it the first time, but when me and Max watched it earlier today, I noticed it again. I was like, you clearly had a different direction of where this was going to end up. Mm-hmm. And because the movie was changed so often, now it's creating inconsistencies in the movie, and it's a real big issue.
Just like
this was supposed to come out before WandaVision and before Spider-Man.
I thought that would have made more sense to come out before WandaVision.
Yeah.
It would have made, we would have already been introduced to the multiverse, so Spider-Man would have made a bit more sense.
Yeah.
But obviously COVID's a thing, but...
That really seemed to have thrown them off.
They could have sat on WandaVision, though. As a TV show, they could have sat on that.
I don't know. That would have had to have been made before this, because then you would... I don't know. You could have had WandaVision after this movie, but at that point, everyone would have fucking hated like Elizabeth Olsen's character in the universe, because she's obviously killed a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But
fair.
it's just like, yeah, it's the plot. Just like the thing with like a film, especially in a cinematic universe, it has to do a couple of things to be considered what I would say an integral part of the universe, the cinematic universe, and just to be a good movie that makes coherent sense, right? He has to start the character in one place and give you a character development during the film that ends him in a different place, where whatever issue he has had in the beginning of the film from the previous films, the character is developed from there. Or introduce more aspects of the cinematic universe. We got the Illuminati in the multiverse. Didn't really make much fucking sense.
Honestly, every time they introduce something, I almost laugh. I kept giggling. I was like, this is so fucking stupid what you're doing here.
But but this movie did nothing. It didn't do anything to progress any of the MCU. We already knew about the multiverse. The way that this introduced a lot of the aspects of it didn't make sense. And
Doctor Strange didn't have an arc.
No,
I'm just going to say it. He didn't have a fucking arc.
Did any of them?
Not really.
Like Scarlet Witch's character just
Scarlet Witch learned to die in the rubble
on her arc from the beginning of the end of WandaVision,
and then had the exact same arc that she has in WandaVision.
Yes, yeah. But like WandaVision did it so much better.
Well, at least she had an arc, I suppose.
Like at this point, like if Wanda comes back. She obviously didn't kill herself. She's definitely going to be in more MCU stuff.
Yeah, she's already signed on for stuff.
The
Yeah.
next 20 years.
Apparently, they want to do her own Scarlet Witch movie. Where do you take that character?
What would
Yeah.
you do with that
Where
now?
do you go with Scarlet Witch now? In the comics, she does end up becoming an anti-hero. Where can you take this character? She's killed people. Think about how many people at the Comitage when she fights them that she fucking
Yeah. I
killed.
was like,
Does she
fucking
just
hell.
become a villain then? Like,
That's what I was
just
thinking when she was murdering
Yeah.
all those people that come up to her. I was like, well, if I was one of those guys, I would just leave. If you're like, you've just told me that this woman, if she's so pleased, could destroy everything in every multiverse ever if she
Yeah.
wanted to. I would just bounce and be like, see you later, guys. I'm out of here.
Well, I think it's safe to say that the debate on who is the strongest MCU character now is over because it's not Captain Marvel.
No.
I also got confused of like, this made no sense. This is just like, obviously they introduced this is jumping forward to the Illuminati part, but it's like the Illuminati characters were there for sheer fan service,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
John Krasinski was 100% only casted because everyone said he would make a fantastic Mr. Fantastic, which he made a very good Mr. Fantastic this version.
What, for what, 2 minutes?
He would not make a very good Mr. Fantastic in
Yeah,
No.
what for like
I
a
don't
whole
know.
feature-length
Well, no,
movie?
I
because-
don't know whether he's going to be the one in the
No,
actual Fantastic
he
Four
can't. He
movie.
can't. He's too.
I think he's too he's not like the character though, is he? Like if you look
In the
at him, he's
comics,
too sexy.
He's yes, that is it. In the
Yeah.
comics, he's very intelligent, but he's like a nerd. He's
Mhm.
a geek.
Yeah.
John Krasinski is just a hunk.
You
He
need someone
can't
like that
be.
geezer from The Flash.
What were they like? They were fucking...
What, Grant Gustin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he'd be
I was
alright.
like, Doctor Strange was like, you got kids? And it
That
was
was
like,
Scarlet
yeah, I
Witch.
got, yeah. She was like, you got kids of your own, Mr. Fantastic? He was like, yeah, I got kids. And then she cheese strings him. And I was like, okay, what the fuck was that for then? Like, who cares?
Yeah, she
You sort of
Then,
think like that.
she was
You,
rude.
I didn't mind her, like, killing all the Avengers. I didn't
Yeah, that
mind
was
her
kinda
killing,
sick, to be
totally
fair.
murdering all the
Illuminati.
Avengers.
Illuminati.
The Illuminati Avengers.
what shit
Like, that was
name.
all right. That was cool. And she was like covered in oil, but I wish she'd have been covered in like blood
Yeah, but
instead. That would have
could
been
they?
better. I mean, I think Sam Raimi, if he had had more control, would have probably taken it there if they didn't need to adhere to a 12 rating. I mean,
I like the fact that you could tell, like, even though it's not blood, it fucking looks like
It's
it.
supposed to be symbolic, isn't it? I
Yeah,
suppose.
like
Yeah.
she can't be like, yeah, she can't like, blah, you're dead. I got all your blood on me. But she can
cut Peggy
beat robots
Carter in
up.
half.
She cut what?
That was all right. She like cut.
Oh yeah,
America
Captain
in half.
Carter in half.
Yeah,
It's not
Yeah.
Captain America, is it? It's Captain
Captain-
Britain.
Britain in half.
Sorry,
yeah.
what? Captain Britain?
Well, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
because she's not American, isn't she? She's a British.
Oh god, that's awful though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's shit.
Well, I mean,
What a shit name.
Yeah.
Well, no,
I don't
actually,
know.
in the comics, she will probably just be called Captain Carter. I'm not entirely sure what she's
Why
called.
didn't they just call her that
Yeah, I
then?
think they
Yeah.
credited her
I'm
as
not.
Captain
I'm not
Carter.
entirely sure what she's called in the comics, but she can't. There is a Captain Britain in the comics, and he's a very shit superhero.
Classic.
I think that whole Illuminati section might have been added in post after the huge success of Spider-Man.
Yeah, probably.
Because I heard they
It
did
felt
loads
quite
and
out of
loads of
place.
They
reshoots
did, yeah.
to add more cameos. Apparently,
That probably was because you think does that section of the movie really make any sense?
It doesn't
No,
flow
not
that
really.
well,
It
does
much
it?
Like,
different.
it
we-
kind of brings the film to a halt.
Yeah,
And
like
doesn't really change the plot at all. It's just
the
kind
only
of there.
thing it introduces is that their Doctor Strange was dangerous to their universe because he'd
Yeah.
been tampering with the Darkhold. That section only existed, and the only thing it did was just reiterate the fact that the Darkhold corrupts its users, which then it's trying to force you to make a connection. Like that's why Scarlet Witch is acting batshit crazy because she's been using the Darkhold. That's why WandaVision now doesn't make sense. But no.
I just couldn't stop laughing at the fact that they were called the Illuminati. Like the second they said it, I burst out
Yeah,
laughing.
so I was like, what the fuck?
In the comics, like
What is happening?
in the comics, they're good. In the
Yeah.
comics, in the comics, they send Hulk off to a planet Cigar, which is where he ended up in Ragnarok. But instead of
Yeah.
but instead of Thor being there, he ends up like conquering the planet, but in a good way. Becomes
it's
its
the Planet
liberator.
Hulk, isn't it?
Yeah, which is Planet Hulk. And then the ship that they sent him there in, people with Sakaar tamper with it, and it blows up and it kills everyone. It kills his wife and his kids, and he thinks it's the Illuminati that purposely killed him. So he goes back to Earth. He fucking jumps from Sakaar. He's so mad he jumps from Sakaar. He jumps back. I shit you not. He jumps back to Earth, and then when he lands back on Earth, he just decimates everyone, and then it leads into the comic World War Hulk, which is fantastic.
That's beautiful.
But back to this movie, it's
that's quite the imagery.
I really liked seeing Patrick Stewart show up.
That was fan service as well.
Did you?
It was
I literally watched
mostly
Patrick
just-
Stewart die for the third time.
Yeah, I was
It's
like,
the
how
same
many fucking times have we
actor.
seen this guy
yeah,
die?
no, that was like irritating, but it was just nice to see him play the role again because I feel like it's definitely going to be the last time he plays
I
it.
hated the
But
way
we
he
had a
died.
good last time. Logan was
that was
perfect.
his
Yeah,
last
of course.
time.
It's
It was
just-
amazing. Why bring him back for like just
so that
a
you can
cameo?
go into Wanda's mind and
Yeah,
see her under rubble and go, perhaps if I grab you, Wanda, I can pull you out,
This
and then
man-
you'll
I
be
hated
alright.
the way he died. It was
This man is
awful.
the strongest telepath in his universe. He's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, you would have thought he would have been
And
able to.
He is
Not enough.
beaten
No.
by a neck snap.
Yeah,
Damn.
he weren't his neck wasn't powerful enough. He was decaying.
The issue
That was
as well.
horrific.
He was really old.
Yeah.
The issue as well is that like Wanda is the most powerful person in the MCU now, probably in the whole entire multiverse. But she could be killed by someone just walking up to her with a gun and blowing her in the back of the head. She's very easily killed if she's unaware, right? So why in the movie when she's during walking into the other Wanda's body, she's like in the middle of a spell, so she's not able to protect herself whatsoever. That woman who comes up and she's like, "Oh, you can't destroy the Darkhold one. It has to be someone else because they'll die." And then she dies. Why did she go for the Darkhold? Why did she not just summon a weapon and just walk up behind Wanda and just stab her in the back of the head?
'Cause then-
Instantly dead.
Yeah, because the film would be over halfway through.
It just like it was. This film was just
Yeah.
characters making dumb decisions that made no sense.
Just
Only
a
makes
bunch of
sense
like
to the
plot
plot,
But it
doesn't
was,
it? Yeah.
but it was very good directed movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was decently directed. I mean,
Should we move into positives? Because I feel like we've just been shitting on it for
yeah,
ages.
sure.
No, I actually thought the music part was hilarious.
The music part fucking got me, man. That
was
I was
so
laughing. I was in
couldn't do it. I
tears.
know we said we were going to move into positives, but like that was bad.
I actually thought that was a very good way of like having music be dictated by the film, like what's
I
going
thought
on.
that was really cool. I thought
I
it was a lot
it
of
was-
just
fun.
could stop
It was
laughing.
very
It's
creative.
very silly, but
I thought it was
I think
all
it's
right.
fun.
Like the first time that, like, I'm
It
like,
went
oh,
on
he's
for a
using
while.
music to defeat him, and then like they battle each other with music. I'm like, this is like how they
Remember-
did like the climax of Star Trek Beyond or
Remember,
some
like
shit.
this is like these are comic book movies where
I
like it's
know.
very campy. Like
yeah, I like that Sam Raimi kind of understands that and he does go really for it. I think that's probably my favourite bits in the film is when he's really going crazy and
Yeah.
it's
Like
really
the
silly
zombie.
and fun.
Well, like, yeah,
The
he
zombie
animates the
was great.
zombie. That was really cool. I thought. He, like, animates the zombie and like makes those like dark souls into his like black cape. That was
Yeah.
cool.
that was sick. But like
I like all the transitions that he has throughout the movie.
yeah, I love the one when it's my favorite transition in the movie was when it goes from like Doctor Strange talking to Wanda, and then it's like classic Sam Raimi transition where it's like Wong's face,
Yeah,
and then
that's so good.
yeah, I was like, that is sick. I just yeah, I think Sam Raimi was just such a. I don't know how he made like this movie was a perfect balance between making a good horror movie for the MCU of what you can do for a 12A movie. Like if I always say like if you're an adult watching the way that Black Bolt dies, Captain Carter dies, how the fantastic Reed Richards dies, watching how they die, like if you're an adult you're like fucking hell that was brutal. If you're a kid you're like oh he sneezed and died. Like it works both ways. It's like
Yeah.
good enough that you know that it's brutal, but not to the point where you can't let kids watch it.
Yeah, I think the only problem I'd say I'd have with some of the like visuals and directing is at times it did kind of feel like Sam Raimi almost like pulling out his like greatest hits, like just copying stuff that he's done in other movies. It wasn't like a massive problem, but there was a lot of points where I was like, okay, I kind of wish he'd maybe do something a bit different and not just kind of pull like this shot from the Evil Dead or this shot from Spider-Man, because he kept doing things like that.
Yeah, the whole like, I liked when when Professor X went into Wanda's mind and it like zoomed in on her eye. I got like very Spider-Man 2 vibes.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man 2 did it like that transition in Spider-Man 2 where it's like it's like the reflection is in the sunglasses of Otto Octavius, and then it goes into the glass, and it's the transition of Spider-Man swinging in. That was amazing.
Yeah,
But then
and
this was
like, there's the shot where Captain Carter's shield gets thrown at her, which is like basically the exact same like framing and everything as like when Green Goblin gets like hit by his glider in first Spider-Man. There's also that bit where like all the shutters and doors in like that location are like swinging, and then it like zooms in on them and all the characters,
closing,
which is exactly
Evil Dead,
from Evil Dead.
Fair few jump scares, I thought.
Yeah,
Just I don't really gel with jump scares. Really, it's like there's a loud music hit, you're gonna get scared. Look,
It's cheap, isn't it? I
it's a
suppose.
big
it was really
troll
cheap
thing.
in this movie.
Great. I don't appreciate when they use like just like that big squid monster at the beginning. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Big
I get
oh
it,
right,
like,
yeah.
There's kind of what you.
It's an
I don't want to
octopus.
complain about like Marvel doing Marvel, but it's like, how many times can I see a fucking CGI octopus with one eye battle something in the streets of New York? It's fucking boring.
Reminds me of that other shit movie, but I don't think it was a Marvel movie. Oh wait, maybe it was.
Do you know that octopus thingy, what do they call it? Gargantus. Because they don't have the rights to the name Shimagora, which is what it was in the comics. You don't know if it's Shimagora. It could just be another variation of him, but it's alluded to that it is. In the comics, that was born in the same place that America Chavez was, and it's like one of the most powerful sorcerers ever, and it got killed in this film by a lamppost. By a fucking lamppost.
Even like the beginning, I was like ready for it to begin, and then it's just like it begins and it's a CGI environment, and Stephen Strange has got a ponytail and he's running through like a weird like game platform with America Chavez, and they're like battling this big CGI monster. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. I was actually disappointed. Like immediately, I was disappointed. I was like, for fucking hell.
What were you in? What?
I don't know. I don't know
opening
what I
scene.
want from fucking Marvel. It's like that's exactly what they do, but it's like I wanted something more psychological, where I wanted like some more like mind games, and not just like big CGI battles. And I know that's like it's tough ask from Marvel because that's all they do, but it's like they've proved that they can do these different types of genres well. You know, I thought it was going to be more like a horror movie, but I didn't get much from the horror.
No,
I really
neither
wish
did
they
I.
leaned into it more.
There were some aspects where, like, the whole where they're in the Illuminati and she's chasing them. That I got horror vibes from, but that was about the only part of
You
the
can
movie.
make effective horror if
and
you're
when
even
she's
making
in-
it for kids.
Yeah, and when she like enters the mirror dimension and she's like putting people through, and when she crawls out of the thingy and
Oh, yeah,
she's,
that
like,
was
walking
Yeah, when
forward.
she like reaches
Yeah.
through the
That's
mirror
good.
and like it's water and she starts killing people like that was cool. I
Yeah.
was like, this is cool. All the way they were able to like, use these different elements of like the visuals. Like you could do a lot of crazy things with Doctor Strange as a character.
You can
He
do
like,
a lot.
demands it.
You can do a lot more with the idea of the multiverse as well. I
Yeah.
feel like they didn't really lean into that.
No,
at
you
all.
just went to a few universes.
They
You
like
saw
fell
the-
through a bunch of universes.
Yeah.
Like here's one universe they could have been in. Here's one universe they could have been in.
Yeah.
We were paint. Did you know we were paint? Wow.
You saw like
Crazy.
Yeah.
you saw like another version of Doctor Strange. You saw the Illuminati. You went to two other universes, and did they really need to go to them universes?
Yeah, a few
Or were they
days
there?
ago, me and Darcy watched a new movie that's just come out called Everything Everywhere All at Once.
No,
That
that's a
film's
multiverse
all about
movie.
multiverses, and they really go crazy with like the idea and like possibilities of what you can do with multiverses. And after watching that film, it actually made me like this less, because I was like,
Yeah,
that's what this could have been.
yeah, like that film just shat all over Doctor Strange.
Yeah. I'm glad I saw Doctor Strange first, because I
Yeah.
think if I watched that movie and then watched Doctor Strange, I would have actually really hated
no,
Doctor
because
You got a
Strange.
couple of days of enjoying Doctor Strange's idea,
Yeah,
and then
got
after
like a
watching that
week.
movie, you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, but I think it's purely because they claim it to be a multiverse movie, but
It's like
I would've
three
they went to
universes.
like three places.
For a
didn't
movie
they?
He
that's
meets his own
named-
like counterpart in that ruined world. Like that was all right. He was
Yeah, that
like
was
talking to
kinda cool.
himself. He was like really done with
Also kind
everything.
of sad.
I wanted more with like just exploring the character, I guess, through like the multiverse.
Well, the fact that you referenced his sister, which did in the comics, she did exist and die the same way. In the comics, he also has a brother that also gets superpowers at some point. They're probably going to introduce him at some point. But like for a movie titled "In the Multiverse of Madness," you went to 2 different universes, and
What was mad about it? I don't know.
Yeah,
Not much
Yeah,
madness.
like the stop signs, the traffic lights are reversed, like it's red to go.
Ooh.
what?
Would you not have thought-
Crazy.
Universe.
would you not have thought like, and if for this movie would have been much better if the story was like Wong is pissed off at Strange because of what he did in Spider-Man, and because of what he did in Spider-Man, you've now got other dimensions that are now invading this Earth that
Yeah.
are causing threats that Doctor Strange has to realize that, fuck, I can't do this, I can't be in control. At some point, you can shoehorn Wanda in there as like a anti-villain through part of it, but then eventually give her back a fucking character development. But like, this just doesn't do any of that.
Yeah,
It just
obviously, at the end of Spider-Man, when he's like, he has to close the universes, you see all those like the things from like the dark universes starting to like come in, and I just thought this movie would be that although he stopped it, he left like cracks in the universe. Now the universes
issue
are starting to collide.
the issue with that is they were universes, and they were only Spider-Man Rogue Gallery characters that were coming through. So unless you
it's
wanted
like
to face
owned by Sony.
Yeah, so unless you wanted to face like a Spider-Man character. But I like the idea of he could have like I would have been good if, even though he closed the portals, like you said, he left cracks in the multiverse which caused like enemies from multiverses coming through. And like the post-credit scene for this movie is do you guys know who that character in purple was?
No, we looked it up, but I can't remember who it was.
Right. Okay, so that character, her name is Clea. She, in the comics, ends up becoming the ruler of the Dark Dimension. Her and Doctor Strange are a thing in the comics.
I read that.
They're not just like a couple and they get married. At some point in the comics, their souls are intertwined, so they're just destined. It's physically, they just can't be away from each other, and it's like that sort of thing. But she is the daughter of, I can't remember her name, but whoever she's the daughter of is the sister of Dormammu. So it's a very good, like, Dormammu is the main villain in the Doctor
first
Strange
Doctor
movie.
Strange, yeah.
At some point, they're going to get together. It creates a very good dynamic that now Doctor Strange's relative is Dormammu. But, like, he causes an incursion, which is why I say one of the big Avengers movies is going to be Secret Wars, because the what's it called again? Incursion. It's obviously 2 universes colliding together, which is what Secret Wars is, but on a much grander scale. It's probably where it's leading. Same with Loki leads into that with Kang. Again, that's how what's his name? Thingy. The third Ant-Man's going to feature in, because Quantumania, Kang's the villain of it. It all links in. They're obviously going towards a Secret Wars type of big finish for this. Either that, or they're going to finish it off with Galactus. One of the two. But it's just like they could have done something with either the Dark Dimension again by introducing a character from there, like Gigantus, using that as like a main villain, a Shimagora, because it's fucking batshit crazy in the comics. They could have introduced Clear as like a villain, and then at the end of it, I don't know what there's so many things. I just would have loved a continuation of him facing the ramifications of what he did in Spider-Man, like leaving cracks in the multiverse that are his fault. This movie is not Doctor Strange's fault. Throughout this movie is told, you keep thinking you're in control, blah, blah, blah. But at no point in this movie is it his will, his control to travel to these multiverses. It's not him.
He's very passive
there.
in it, yeah.
It's like he's a cameo in his own movie.
It is annoying. It's really annoying. I like Benedict Cumberbatch. I think he could do like so much more with the role if he was given more to do with it. But like, just relegating him to the background in his own movie, it's like a slap in the fucking face. I tell you, it's just so. I'm really disappointed with this movie. I tell you, it was like one of the ones that I was actually excited for from the Marvel movies this year. But now I don't know. I don't even feel like watching it again.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll watch it again. As much as I really enjoyed it, I don't know if there's really anything else I can get from
I
it.
kind of got bored watching it for the second time.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I was quite bored.
And like, it's for me to say the Marvel movie was boring for the second time. It's probably not good because I fucking
Yeah.
love the Marvel movies, but I don't know what's happening in Phase 4, whether it's just like because we've never experienced a cinematic universe that has lasted anywhere near this long. And either that, or I don't know why, if it's because we're getting so much Marvel content now after
Yeah.
having time off, but like, Phase 4 has just been shit. Shang-Chi just ended in the same cinematic CG fight, and it was shit. Good choreography, but was shit. The fucking TV shows, most of them have just been boring and not very fantastic. What other, like, Eternals was shit? What other movies have we had?
Black
What other
Widow.
Phase- What?
Black Widow, yeah, fucking
That was
That-
that was all right.
That was
fine.
good, but that should have came out instead of Captain Marvel.
yeah.
Why did it
Oh,
come out
God.
after you knew she was going to die?
Yeah.
Why didn't it come out in between? Like, the thing is, yeah.
Yeah, it really feels like they're going for quantity over quality, which was something I was really worried about. I was really worried that was going to happen, like, as soon as they start saying, hey, we're going to put out 4 movies a year and 5 TV shows.
They
That's
just don't
just
need to
way
do it.
too much.
It's
Like,
just too much
We
content.
maybe got like early in the MCU, we got, I think it was 3 a year, and then at some point
Mm.
it settled down
When
to
it
like,
first started,
them
it
were
was
like 2 a year.
2 a year.
I think
was it?
Yeah.
Was it
2
not
years.
3? No, I'm on about like when it was Phase 1, when we got like,
Yeah, no, it's
Was
still
it 2?
2 a year. It was
Was it
2
2
a year till like phase 2 or 3.
God, I think 2 years still too many, but
But it was
no,
all
2
right
a year.
'cause
2 a
you-
year's fine, I reckon.
Yeah, you
I
get
think they're
one
just- they're
like
just overkilling it
halfway
now.
through the year and then one at the end of the
Yeah,
year.
if you get one a year, so you're just going to take ages to do anything. You think if
Yeah.
they want to complete a trilogy, that's 9 years just for a trilogy.
well,
But,
I liked the fact
I mean,
that
I
Okay,
prefer
but-
that than like loads of movies that are rushed.
I think 2's good.
Yeah, I think 2 is the
But,
perfect
like,
amount, but
This year
you
alone,
don't need the TV shows as well. I
this
don't
year
think.
alone, 3 movies, and we've already had. We're by the
it's
By-
May, by the way.
July, halfway through the year, we would have had 2 movies and 2 shows, and another movie and probably another show. And then Wakanda Forever's in November. 2 months later, we're getting another movie,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
just too
Ant-Man.
much.
We got one May, then we got one in July, 2 months apart. Then you go from July 3-4 months apart for Wakanda, and then 2 months again. Like,
Yeah, I think the problem with throwing out this much stuff is people are going to get burnt out. I think even a lot of like the big diehard fans are starting to get
I
burnt
didn't think
out.
I ever would. I
Yeah.
thought like when they introduced all this shit, I was
Mm.
like, "Fuck yeah, we get so much Marvel shit." But like, I'm watching them, and it's just like it just seems like the same stuff is being put out, and it's just
Yeah,
like
that's the problem.
Yes, that's this is the
They
problem
need
though, isn't it?
to, I think, devote more time to less content.
They need to do less. It just doesn't. Like,
sometimes less is more.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, but it's going to get to that stage though. Also, where like, yeah, people are going to tune in for the first time and go, "Do you know what? Fuck this." There's like 50,000 hours worth of stuff to watch. Can't be
Yeah, I'm
arsed.
sure people would be happy if like everything they were putting out was like solid gold, you know, and then people wouldn't have a problem with like how much was coming out. But when it's like so much of basically nothing, it
Well, no
just
one had an issue for the
gets
first
saturated.
2 phases. No one had
No.
because it was like they spent
took their
so
time
much.
on
Yeah,
it.
they spend so much time with like character development. Like the MCU shines when it's developing its characters. It has amazing writing. Just think of like what we've had before and what they are capable of and what you've seen them do, and then we get stuff like this. Like, think of how good, yeah, I've already said it. Just think of how good like the development of the core 6 main, well, let's just say the main 3 for Iron Man and Thingy, Captain America, like their stuff was.
Yeah.
And then we just get stuff like, yeah,
Eternals.
Now we're just getting Marvel seem to be going away from really taking time to develop their characters, and we're now getting into the phase where, because the cinematic universe is so expansive, you cannot introduce a character like you used to.
Yeah.
Because so much is going on, you can't have contained movies anymore.
It's weird because it's like, it seems like everything they do has to set up what's coming next, but at the same time it almost feels kind of aimless. It feels like they don't really have a clear direction of where they want to go.
Because it feels like they have to set something up and they have to continue. Like I said, Doctor Strange 2 isn't a sequel to Doctor Strange 1, it's a sequel to everything that's come. So now you have to make a film that is a sequel to all of these movies the past 10 years, but it also has to set up the next 10 years.
Yeah, they've got their fucking calendar for the next 10 years. What happens if they just flop for a year? Yeah, of course. They know exactly what they're going to do, but what happens if they reach a point and they hit a bump and they're like, fucking no one's watching our shit anymore, and now we have to redo everything that we've planned out for the next 10 years?
Yeah, they'd get to a point where they'd have to stop, I think.
I think they will have to stop soon.
Restart.
Yeah, I've told you, they will eventually. It will get to a point, and I think we'll get to the end of the second decade of Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, and at that point, I think so much they'll either be in a position where they just can't go any further, where they've just pushed themselves into the corner, which the comics have done, and this will have to do eventually. It's inevitable. It's inevitable that at some point it will fail, because there will just be too much. The films will have to link into so much. There'll be too much to watch that they will just stop it for 10, 20 years, and then we'll be like, Iron Man reboot.
Yeah, I think they...
Robert Downey Jr. back. Get him back now.
They really perfected what they're doing with the Infinity Saga. Now everything just feels like they're trying to recapture that same lightning in a bottle, but do it bigger. Yeah,
when you name a movie Endgame, it's indicating the end of the game, and then they're like, but wait, there's more.
Well, I think it was just they were saying it's the end of their first culmination of the first proper decade of Marvel.
You can't call it the end of the whatever you just
It was an end game for the characters that they had, but we still had more that were being
Thor and Black Panther and Doctor Strange.
They're getting more, but I don't know how I would have felt if Endgame ended the whole entirety of the MCU. I don't know how I would have felt, because I want more, but at the same time, what we've got so far, I kind of wish they did end it where they did.
Yeah, I mean, wanting more is kind of a good thing. You'd much rather want more from something than want far less.
And now we
want far less, yeah.
It's I look at the Star Wars movies. If it was just that original trilogy and they didn't really do anything else, then it would be perfect. But
now then we would have never got
6 more movies that weren't very good.
We should have never got Revenge of the Sith.
That is true.
That is true. That is a great movie.
Yeah.
To be fair, it got killed after 7, 8, and 9. Let's be real.
Yeah, because now I wish there was less Star Wars content in the world.
Yeah, they shouldn't have made those last 3 movies.
They shouldn't really have done anything after the original trilogy, to be honest. But that's a different discussion.
I like Revenge of the
I'm just not excited for these new Marvel ones. Well, we got fucking Ms. Marvel, the series. The new Thor one, I think, will be alright. As will maybe the new Guardians movie.
When's that coming out?
That's next year.
Oh, okay.
She-Hulk, the series.
She-Hulk.
We all really hyped for that.
Has that got a release date?
Not yet. But it's coming out this year.
Any of this.
Again, with the whole
Black Panther without Black Panther, they're doing.
Again, with the whole writing of the MCU, they just they're straying far from taking time to develop these characters, and they're just oh, this is a movie about the multiverse. End of Shang-Chi. Did you see the post-credit scene?
Yeah,
I bolted it.
Okay, so the end of the post-credit scene for Shang-Chi is Wong takes the girl and the guy, I can't remember their name. Shang-Chi and Shang-Chi and
Awkwafina.
Mrs. Shang-Chi.
Awkwafina plays.
He takes them to the Sanctum Sanctorum, and he says these, and it's there's him, them two, and then there's a hologram of Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner. This is after Endgame, and you're like,
what?
You're meant to be Smart Hulk. You're meant to be the Hulk. Why are you Bruce Banner again? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Why are you not Bruce? Why are you not the Hulk?
I was waiting in Doctor Strange for them to show up, and I was really confused
Who?
when they didn't. Shang-Chi, because I thought that was what it was setting up. I thought they were setting
took
up
him to
Doctor
Camargue,
Strange.
but he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, was he?
Yeah, they take
He
him there,
actually
and you
was
just
there. They
never
just
see
didn't
him.
show him, and he got killed by the Scarlet Witch.
By Shang-Chi
He was just having a
sequel.
nap the whole time.
That's one of the
shit, did I
post-credit
miss
scenes. It's just
something,
like
guys?
Shang-Chi's face, like it's smashed into the ground. Oh God.
Oh yeah, I did like stuff about this movie.
Yeah,
The
sure.
directing was good. The acting was fantastic.
Yeah, the acting was really
I
good.
completely forgot what we were talking about because we just went on such like a tangent.
The acting was top tier. What you'd
Yeah.
expect from these actors, but
Great Bruce Campbell cameo.
pretty great. I like the whole he's punching himself in the face with his hand.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
an Evil Dead reference. I completely
Just wanted more. He just wanted more. I don't know.
okay. So Max didn't see. Do you see the second post credit scene?
No, we
No,
watched
but I've
first.
heard about it.
Second post credit scene. It's just that part is Bruce Campbell's character, and he stops punching himself, and he goes, "Finally, it's over," while staring into the camera.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, just to end the film.
Yeah, a lot of
Okay.
people complained about
Yeah.
that.
So why
Dumb, innit?
in a film titled Multiverse of Madness is that our second post? Why in Captain America 1 do we get two really good post credit scenes that set up the story, and in this we get one that sets up what the next? I don't know.
The next
what does
Doctor
the,
Strange,
What does it
I
set
don't know.
up? Does it set up the next Doctor Strange movie, or does it set up
It's
the
gonna set up.
fucking next Avengers movie? When are we next going to see them?
No
Who
idea.
knows?
I'll
They've
be
not
real. I don't
announced
think
it.
we need two post-credit scenes in these Marvel movies.
No.
Just link them together. I don't want to have to wait through the credits that take like 15 minutes to go when the movie's already ended.
But it's an experience.
I'm just
It's not
tired of
experience.
post-credit scenes. I don't like them.
Yeah, we watched the first one and we were like, "See you later," and everyone was still sitting there. and
Yeah,
I
I
was just
never
like,
stay
"Ah."
for the second one now.
Yeah.
Because I already because I do the same thing with every Marvel movie. I spoil it for myself as soon as I can. So 2 days before I went and saw what's it called, Multiverse of Madness.
So you watched it before and then
No, I didn't watch it. I
Oh.
read the.
Oh, you read the-
Someone
right.
watched it, so I read the leak synopsis.
Okay, I got you.
There was a part that I don't know whether it was cut out because this whole synopsis was 100% accurate, but there was a part that was in it
Uh-huh.
when he meets the Illuminati, and this would have made sense if it was in the movie. So I don't know if it was, and they just cut it down for
No, go on.
time with the extra half an hour that was meant to be in here. But it's when he meets the Illuminati, and they say they're all ganging up on Doctor Strange. Professor X uses his telekinesis power or telepathic powers, and they see the events of what happened on Titan. And they see Doctor Strange give over the Time Stone, and they say that wasn't the only option you could have done. It was the selfish one that you chose to do because it put you in control. That wasn't in the movie. I was so confused when I read it because I was like, everything else that is written was 100% accurate, down to how everyone dies, but that wasn't in the movie, so it's
Yeah.
obviously just cut.
I'd be interested to see what they've cut from this movie.
You'll probably
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, supposedly, don't know how true it is, they cut a Deadpool cameo out.
Oh, yeah, I've heard
So
about that as well. Yeah.
instead of the Bruce Campbell post-credit scene, what was allegedly in there was Cable, Domino, and Deadpool walking through the ruins of the Illuminati facility, and
That would have been cool.
and he turns to the screen and he makes a comment about John Krasinski
Krasinski.
being in the office, and then he also makes a comment how this is the third time he has seen Professor X die. Patrick Stewart,
Yeah.
he says this is the third, something about this is the third time we've seen Patrick Stewart die in the same role.
Why was Patrick Stewart in a little yellow car thing?
Oh my god, he
You
like
know,
a
like fucking-
transformer.
Davos from Scar, Doctor Who. Like, what the fuck?
The music. So it's the character from the X-Men '95 cartoon. In the
Yeah.
cartoon, he's
Right.
in that chair, which is why when he came out, it was the X-Men theme from the '95 TV show. He's that version of Professor X.
Right.
Okay.
I just thought he looked
I
like
just saw him. I was
Bumblebee.
like, this guy looks so
You'll
Yeah.
see
through
what.
it. He looks like a corpse.
Yeah, 'cause he's
It's
defeated.
like, in his 90s.
He shouldn't have done it. I don't know. He shouldn't have been in this.
He said he wants to play it again, but I don't think he's going to be alive long enough to do
No,
it again.
I don't want to see him in this anymore. We got the end of him.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a good ending.
So that's him in the. No,
He's using his mind powers to be
That's
pink.
him in the cartoon that they based the
yeah.
character off. So it makes sense that.
Nice.
He legitimately looked like a transformer.
But he got his fucking neck snapped. The strongest telepath in the universe got his neck
His
snapped.
death pissed me off, to be honest. But
that
where else was it
cartoon
going to
show is
go?
better than this movie. So that cartoon show is better than this movie.
That cartoon, that's why they brought it back. It's a fantastic
Yeah.
cartoon show.
Yeah, it was great.
I think
I used to
everyone
love
just-
it as a kid.
This is nostalgia, right?
I liked that music cue.
This is how they've introduced the mutants as well. Just bear that in mind.
Yeah.
This is how they introduced Fantastic Four and the mutants into the MCU.
And
They could, if they really wanted to, for the plot for this film, could have had at some point Scarlet Witch breaking reality even further than what it is. In House of M, she says like no more mutants at the end of the comics, and it completely it gets rid of 99% of all the mutants' powers. So there's 1% of mutants left with their powers, and it's the core ones like Wolverine, all these sort of things. They could have done something like that in the end of this movie to introduce the mutants and whatnot. But no, we just got a fan cast version of Mr. Fantastic. I thought John Krasinski did a very good job in the role, but
I like him.
he's too sexy for it. It doesn't make sense.
people say I look like him.
Like who?
John Krasinski.
Yeah, you do.
Mike Wazowski. Also, I don't know what you guys thought of like the musical score. It was done by Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
I just didn't find it to be very interesting.
Really?
It was done by
I really
Danny
liked it. I
Elfman.
thought it was really
I
cool.
wouldn't have thought it was by him at all. To be
I
honest.
I really got that vibe from it.
Oh, okay.
I liked
Just me.
I liked the I liked the music score in this movie. I thought it was really good, but only on certain parts. Like I
Yeah.
can't really remember much of it. The music fight, and then I really liked
The music fight.
I liked at the end with the guitar parts where I liked the guitar parts.
Yeah,
in it.
yeah,
They were
liked
really
the
good.
use of guitar.
Yeah, it was like especially at the end where he's like gets the third eye.
I think that was what gave it away for me that it was Danny Elfman, because that's like very much up his street.
So in a complete side tangent, there's a 27-minute mini documentary of the making of the Halo 3 theme, Halo 2 theme, sorry, with the electric guitar in it. Have you ever watched it?
No, but I know of it. I know what
Mate,
happens.
So the guy's listening through Steve A or
It's like
whatever.
Steve Vai, I think his name is.
He listens through to this theme once, and he's like, I'm just gonna play with it, right? And he makes everything they used, he made up on the spot. He did the take, and they were like, yeah, do it again, but we want to use that. Side tangent, but it's a very cool thing that I watched the other day
Yeah.
about guitars.
I really think we could probably.
Yeah, I was going to
talking
say,
now.
I feel like we're just chatting shit about
Yeah.
random things now.
We're just chatting about fucking
it comes
Halo
up,
there.
but, I mean, yeah. So that's
Yeah, I
Doctor
could talk about
Strange.
Halo 3 for hours, to be fair.
Let's
but-
not. Let's
Halo
stop this
3 was
now.
one of the first games that I played online.
Yeah, same.
Now we're entering into the Halo 3 portion of the podcast.
Talking about very bad TV shows and
I thought we were going to
movies.
bring up your.
Has anyone watched the Halo
No.
TV show?
Holy
look
shit!
Anyway, what are we going to give Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness?
Do you not want to talk about like the acting in it get even further, or
No, not really.
No, we've
What's there to say?
literally been. We've literally
Everyone
just been.
good.
Everyone good.
everyone
It's not
good?
the power of the dog, but it'll do.
That's true.
What should we rate it out of?
Let's rate it out of Multiverse of Madness.
Let's rate it out of
Zzz.
Mr. Fantastics.
Oh, I like that.
Cheese strings. Go on, Chris.
just cheese.
Yeah,
He's fucked.
this is a very, very flawed movie, but while I was watching it, I had a lot of fun with it. I can't deny that I didn't enjoy the movie. Like I said, I probably would not watch it again. And it's a film that I think the more and more I think about it, the less I actually like it. I'd still say I'd give it like...
What would you do if you had to watch it? What would happen if you watched it a second time?
It fries
I'd
brain.
watch it a second time.
You're mad.
He'd cry.
But yeah, I think I'd give it like a 6 or 7 Mr. Fantastics out of 10. It's like right on the edge for me.
Yeah, sure. What are you giggling about?
Look at this derpy cat.
I should go off at a fucking cat.
Go to the other photo. I just looked at her phone and that's what I saw.
I like this movie, but I think I was just really annoyed throughout, and it makes a lot of bad decisions. Do a lot of good things with the visuals. I always like that in like Doctor Strange movie. I think they can do a lot with it, but I wish they'd gone a bit harder with the horror aspects of it, or like made it more of a psychological thriller. But they kind of didn't. It just did kind of devolve into Marvel bullshits in the end, and I don't really like that. But when I'm watching a fucking Marvel movie, I just wish they'd do something more. They've had license now to experiment and do different things with it. I just wish they'd gone harder with it. I'll give it a 6 Mr. Fantastics out of 10.
As Chris said, this movie is very flawed. It didn't make much sense. Like, I don't know why they decided to go the storyline. The storyline just doesn't make sense. Why? You could have done so much, and they've just chose to create a storyline out of nowhere that just doesn't fit into any of the previous movies. It doesn't make sense. The characters' decisions and how they act, it doesn't make sense, or it's not clear as to why they're acting like that. Mainly talking about Wanda's character, about being possessed by the Darkhold. The acting's good. Sam Raimi, a fantastic director, one of my favorite directed Marvel movies. But it's just some of it's fan service. It's just like America Chavez was introduced, and she's barely in it, and she's now going to be she's a very fucking powerful character. She's the only one in all of the multiverses that exists. There's no other version of her, and she was in like maybe a bit of the film. What we give it out of 10? I'm going to give it. I don't know. The story was shit. It was terrible. I'm just a bit of this. What did you give it?
I gave it a 6.
What did you give it?
I gave it like 6, 7.
I'm going to have to give this like 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
5 Mr. Fantastics.
Wow.
That is a big downgrade from when you saw it the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You gave it
you-
like an
you-
8 the first time.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was very good the first time, because I was like, it's
You're
the
on that- you're on
Fantastic
that-
Four.
yeah, you're
it's
on that hype.
Professor X.
That's what
But
I was
like-
doing the whole time.
Like Chris
to be
said, the
honest.
more and more you think about this movie, the more and more you see it, the
Mm.
more flaws you see out of it, because the movie is just
Yeah,
very
I
flawed.
bet.
But
What
if
do
you
do?
want a good multiverse movie, go watch Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, all right,
Which
Chris.
is like incredible.
It is. It actually is.
If you want a good Christmas movie, Popstar.
Puff Star Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, Christmas.
What are you giving it, D?
Oh, right. Do you know what? It's quite sad, because I was really looking forward to seeing this Sam Raimi film, because I was like, oh, it's a Sam Raimi movie. I like the Spider-Man movies. I want to see what he does. It's not even a bad film. I just feel like Marvel have such a tight grip on like the people that I don't know use their visions and their licensing, that I don't know. I just felt like he couldn't really do the film that he wanted to do, and it just kind of fell flat, in my opinion.
Yeah, he
Does that
clearly,
make sense? You know what I mean?
he
Like
clearly
he had
did-
visions, and they wouldn't let him.
There are clear parts in this movie where you're like, that is definitely Sam Raimi inspired. But then there are parts of this movie where it's like, you can blatantly tell Sam Raimi wanted to do something, but Marvel were like, no.
Yeah, those
You've
are the
gotta
bits
do
I
this.
dislike the most, when it's like doesn't like seem like his vision. It's just
Give him
normal
free range.
MCU
Don't
shit.
bring in Sam Raimi
And then
and
say no,
make-
Sam
yeah,
Raimi.
and then be like, oh, you have to follow. It's like they get a director in, and it's like, you can do what you
It's like how
want.
they nerfed Edgar Wright
yeah,
for Ant-Man.
Yeah, but it's like you can make the movie you want, but you have to put in. Or it's like they just every director you can
They
make the
give you a
movie you want,
brief.
but you have to
Yeah.
put these parts in. As it's the classic end fight scene that's all CGI. And sorry,
It's like they're not
interrupted
making
you.
episodes. They're not making movies. They're making episodes, right?
Yeah,
Each
it's like-
movie is like an episode, like a jigsaw piece that they have to. That's like pre-written.
Yeah,
It has to fit
Yeah.
into this jigsaw that they
I
built.
think I was just kind of disappointed with. I thought it was going to be, because everyone was talking about how it was going to be like more horror inspired, and I was just kind of, it was just there. 6
Yeah.
out of 10.
Supposedly that's why Scott Derrickson dropped out
Yeah.
the project, was because Marvel wouldn't go fully with the horror stuff that
Yeah.
he wanted to do.
What is the point? They literally said when they introduced this movie, they literally said this is going to be the first horror themed Marvel
Yeah.
Cinematic Universe.
And
This
it's
was
not.
there were
They fucked
there,
it.
There's one kind of horror section when she's chasing them, and then you get very like Evil Dead inspired, like
yeah,
there for
with
jump
them
scares.
bunch
limping
of jump scares.
But
and
it's
stuff like
like
that.
Yeah.
you can't say you're going to give us the first MCU horror movie and then we get that.
It's because they have to tailor
Because
it
they have
to
to make it-
12 A's or
Yeah,
PG
well, people are
13s,
still
whatever the fuck.
complaining that it's not child friendly at all and should have been a 15. which I don't agree with.
Don't agree
No, it
with
was
that.
definitely
A
fine.
big dick.
Joel, because he said crap and shit,
Yeah.
and there was a little bit of
It
oil on
shit
her.
a couple of
and-
times.
No, like people saying it's like too violent and too
It's
scary
not.
for
I'm sorry,
children.
but then every film ever should just not be
yeah,
kid
like
friendly.
I think the first Spider-Man movie is actually scarier. Like Green Goblin's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the first Spider-Man movie, you literally see a group of people be turned to skeletons
Yeah.
from a
Yeah.
Like
bomb.
from dust,
Yeah.
yeah. Like it's fucking.
And there's loads of jump scares in that movie as well.
Yeah, the
I just-
fire building thingy when
Oh.
Green Goblin and
Fucking Willem Dafoe in that movie is terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing in this movie, nothing in Doctor Strange reaches the heights of that.
no.
No, it's quite
Willem
unfortunate.
Dafoe was fucking terrified. Was
Do they want us to be like scared of Scarlet Witch even?
yeah, that was
Yeah.
guttural.
Yeah.
I don't
She's not
think.
scary.
No, she's not. She's just bitchy.
Do you know
It's
what?
like, well, maybe
the
you
issue
should
is
just do something else, Scarlet
Yeah.
Witch. She's like, no!
The issue is when you watch the movie, you can't help but like it. If you're like a fan of the movies and you're not
Mhm.
just going because Marvel movie, big CG battles.
Marvel
If
movie,
you're
I have to
actually
see every Marvel
going,
movie.
if you're actually going for the plot and the storytelling, you
Mhm.
cannot watch this film and be scared of Scarlet Witch or think her character's a threat when all you're thinking is, why the fuck have they like completely destroyed her character development? Why is she doing this shit?
Yeah, they
They
kind
don't
of.
care about characters
Yeah, they're
anymore.
just fucking
They
around
just
with the
don't care.
law now, aren't they?
That's exactly it. It seems like Chris said, they're just going far too in for quantity, and they're not taking the time to really give us characters that we care about.
Yeah, like why unwrite everything that you've already set out the foundations for? Like what?
Mate, is there any characters other than 4 and maybe a few other like you could probably count them on one hand, and that's if you're like an amputee and have 2 fingers cut off. 3 characters. That's for you, Darcy. There's gonna be like I can imagine after the next 10 years of like Marvel movies, there's gonna be no characters you give a shit about. We gave a shit about
I already
Iron
don't
Man.
give a shit.
Yeah, we cared about Iron Man. We cared about
Right.
Captain America. We cared about Black Widow. We cared about their deaths and the fact that they're not in the movies anymore because we got development from them. We
We
had
spent loads of
we had
movies
10
with them as well.
we
yeah.
had like 10 years worth of
Yeah.
growing with them, and now it just seems like we're not getting that. And like,
yeah.
how are you going to give us movies from a studio that primarily based their sales off all this character development, and we're just not going to care about any of these
Yeah.
characters. We're just
You know
going to be
you
going
don't
to
have to invest in a character when you see their actor sign a deal for the next 10 years, right? You just be like, well, why should I care? Because they're just going to be in it for the next 10 years.
it's like how like it's the issue like a little bit of Endgame had, where like you had like Wakanda 2 was already announced, Doctor Strange 2 was already confirmed,
I guess
Guardians 3 was already confirmed.
Yeah,
and
you
you're
start
like,
guessing stuff
and
from
you're
the
like,
films then,
well,
don't
but they're
you?
all dusted. They're obviously coming back, then,
Yeah.
aren't they?
It ruins like some of the mystery
And
behind
this is
it,
the
doesn't it?
issue with like sign the characters, but why fucking announce it to everyone? Like, cool.
I think it's just because they want the hype, though, don't they? Like, oh yeah, they're gonna
I
stick
think it's a
around.
mixture of that, and so they can show like their shareholders what they're doing, so they can like show that we're gonna put out this and it's gonna make loads of
Can't
money.
you just tell your shareholders without telling the public?
Nah, they do like huge
To be fair,
like
they leak-
shareholders
people leaks, don't
meetings
they,
that are
though?
like publicly like shown online and stuff.
Oh, not
I'm
strategic. at all.
hoping the 4-4's plot line seems it's going to be a very condensed
Thor.
one. Yeah, Thor 4.
Awful.
It's just Gore the God Butcher going around killing all the gods for not giving a shit about for not giving a shit about helping his people, which makes sense. Hopefully, that's a fucking decently written movie and
Yeah.
makes sense.
Taika Waititi's actually written this one, so
Right, well, I'm at
He's
least a little
great.
bit hopeful for that.
yeah.
Do you know what? I'm more excited to see Korg than I am. I'm more excited to see Korg in Thor 4 than I now give a shit about Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
movie has made me single-handedly care less about the characters that it tried to make us care more about.
Yeah, literally the only two Marvel products I'm now looking forward to are the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie and the new Thor movie.
Yeah, same.
'Cause there's nothing else that interests me.
Blade? Not excited for Blade?
Is that a movie or is that just
It's a
show?
TV show.
That's
TV
coming out
show.
in this show.
I'll watch it. I like the Blade character. Don't know how they'll handle it, but
Well, he's coming.
that is.
He is
They
coming.
need there needs to also, can I just say, The ending of Doctor Strange 2 and the post-credit scene really fucking pissed me off. It was, I'm just going to say, it's shit. Because,
Fair.
and it's not like what happens in it, it's just the directing of it. So the ending of the film, he's walking down the street, bam, we didn't even talk about this part, but it's like, bam, he gets a third eye.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
That's not him being corrupted by the dark. That's not him being corrupted by the Darkhold, by the way. That third eye is the eye of Agamotto. It's when the sorcerer reaches a certain amount of power, he'll gain that eye.
Yeah.
It's just a status of like where you tell
Do
a
you know what? I'm
sorcerer
glad
is.
that you brought that up because I actually thought it was about. I thought
like,
it was
what
about
the
the
fuck
dark.
happened there?
Yeah.
No.
That's what I
No,
thought
no.
because
Thought it was just being
Yeah.
quirky.
Right, anyway, so it's just this is the thing. Don't fucking explain what it was.
Yeah.
It's a level of when a sorcerer reaches a level, they gain that.
He's
Anyone can
enlightened,
get
mate.
it. They don't have to have interactions with the Darkhold. It's just right. Anyway, so he's walking down the street. That happens.
Yep.
Boom. Movie ends. Post-credit scene. He's walking down the street again, and then
Yeah, that was really weird.
then it's like
I was like,
yeah,
what
was
the
it the
fuck?
same? Yeah, was it meant to be the same shot
Yeah, I
or
thought it
like?
was like the same
No, because
scene
his eyes
showing
in it
again.
at that point. So does he just go back home, then walk back down the road
The
again?
thing is, it doesn't tell you how much time has passed. So when the film ends on him getting this eye,
yeah.
and then the post credit scene is him being confronted by Clea that he's caused an inversion, what's it?
Incursion?
Incursion.
Diversion?
So no, incursion. So it's a universe going into their universe.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 and he goes like, "Yeah, I'm ready," and his eye pops out, and you're like. So, how much time's passed? Have you mastered that? Have you got the Darkhold powers influencing it over you in control? Because he used the Darkhold. This eye, have you mastered that powers? Where are
It
we?
was like the same day he just changed shirts.
Where are we at in the movie?
He like broke down.
That's
At the
what
end
I
of the
mean, did
movie,
he go home,
he's
change
trying having a
his
fucking
shirt,
panic
like-
attack on the zebra crossing, and everybody in New York's just like fucking weird, don't they? Move past him.
Yeah, like did he run home, change his jumper, and be like, no one saw me, it's fine. So fucking weird.
People know that's Doctor Strange. People know who that is,
Okay.
and they see him
Yeah.
like they're on the floor. He's in pain. They're just like standing around, like. You know that's an Avenger. You probably should run. Like some shit's about to happen.
Yeah,
Sort
they're
your own
just
shit
chilling,
out.
isn't they?
Sort your own shit out.
It's
Doctor
just New
Strange.
York. That's just how they be.
I swear,
Hey.
every time New York is
I'm
depicted in something,
surprised
it's like that.
we
innit?
didn't get like someone walking behind him, and Doctor Strange like falls on the floor in his eye, and someone, hey, I'm walking here, like
Forget
bumps
about
into
it.
him.
All right. That's the end. We've got episode 78.
Chris,
We're
how
doing-
long's it been?
An hour 40.
Yeah, let's go.
We're doing 1960s movies in the next one. We've got The Graduate, Onibaba, and Hello, Dolly. We've got social media, YouTube, The Sunday Movie Marathon, Twitter at Sunday Movie Pod, Facebook at Sunday Movie Marathon, our letterbox at Sunday MM, capital S, capital MM. Any last words?
Thanks, Connor,
Probably.
for chatting about law.
If you want to get more content from all of us here, apart from Darcy, go check out our music
Yeah.
page.
And go
Yeah.
watch Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Right, and this is where you're meant to go. Our music is
Just find it.
just find
Just
it.
find it.
Hey, Strange. You know what's cooler than magic?
Meth.